Hello students, how are you all? So let's start with today's class of class 9 biology. So we have started with the lesson 5 fundamental unit of life. In that we were discussing about components of cell and we have already discussed about plasma membrane in detail. Next component of cell is cell wall. So cell wall is a rigid covering present outside the plasma membrane. So you should keep in mind that cell wall is not present in all types of cells. So it is a rigid hard covering around the plasma membrane, but it is present in plant cell, fungal cell and bacterial cell. So all the plant cells, fungal cells, they have the cell wall around them, and bacterial cell also, but their composition is different. Composition means from which molecules or from which material it is made up of. So in plant cells it is made up of a macromolecule which is called cellulose. So in plant cells, cell wall is made up of cellulose. In fungal cells means fungus. Fungi we have studied in class 8 also. So the fungal cells, cell wall is made up of chitin. And in bacteria, the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycans. So these are new terms for you, but actually these are the large molecules which will form this cell wall. So in plant cells it is formed of cellulose, in fungal cell it is formed of chitin, and in bacteria it is formed of peptidoglycans. These are the molecules, big molecules which will form the cell wall. Now what are the functions of a cell wall? It provides rigidity and support. Like plant cells or many microorganisms like fungi, bacteria, they can survive in any kind of environment. Like plants, like not like animals. Animals, they live in their houses and they require clothes to wear, including human. But plants, they can survive in any kind of environment. They can survive very hot weather, very cold weather, high winds. So why is that possible? And why the microorganisms are found in basically all type of environments? Either it is very hot condition or very cold condition, microorganisms are everywhere. So all this is possible because of the presence of cell wall in them. We are not as strong as plants. We cannot stand for a long in the outer environment like plants. Why is that so? Because their cells is covered with a thick covering which is called cell wall. It is exactly like the wall of bricks by which our room is made up of, which keeps us safe inside. Similarly, the plant cells, they keep us safe inside with the cell wall covering. Okay. So it provides rigidity and support to the plants. Second is it provides shape. So a specific shape of any kind of cell, either plant cell, fungal cell or bacterial cell, is because of the cell wall around them. Like a room has different shape, either it is rectangular, square, because of the room walls. Similarly, these cells have a specific shape because of the cell wall present around them. Next is it provides protection. This point we have already discussed, that protection is the main function of cell wall, because the plants, the microorganisms, they can survive in any kind of condition, any kind of weather condition, rain, high temperature, low temperature, because of the cell wall around them, which provides them protection. Next is cell wall is considered to be non-living. As you know, the cell is considered to be living, but the cell wall is the non-living component of the cell because it is made up of some molecules like cellulose, chitin, peptidoglycans. So this will make them non-living in nature. Okay. Next is freely permeable. Now this is very much important point. As we have discussed, in case of plasma membrane is semi-permeable or selectively permeable because it allows only selected particles to move across the cell. But cell wall is not like plasma membrane. It is freely permeable. As it is a dead material, it is made up of dead, it is considered to be a dead part of the plant. cell or fungal cell or bacterial cell. So it is freely permeable, means it allows all kind of particles, either water, gases, minerals, to move across the cell easily. That is why it is called freely permeable. So is it clear to you why plasma membrane is called selectively permeable? Because it allows only selected particles to pass through the membrane, and cell wall is freely permeable. Whatever things are coming into the cell, coming into the plant cell, they will easily cross the cell wall, but they have to cross the cell membrane, but after the selection by the cell membrane. Okay. So next is, it prevents bursting of cell placed in mild hypotonic solution. It is very much important point, as we have discussed that the cell wall will allow the water, gases, minerals to pass through the cell. When the plant cell is placed in a hypotonic solution, then what will happen? The water molecules will start moving inside the cell, as we have discussed in the topic osmosis. So in hypotonic solution, the cell will start gaining water, due to which the cell will swell up. But if the cell wall is there, then it will prevent the bursting of the cell when it is placed in hypotonic solution, because when the water will enter inside the cell due to this while placing the cell in the hypotonic solution, the cell will start swelling up. The inner components of the cell or the cell membrane will start exerting pressure on the outside. The equal and opposite pressure will be exerted by cell wall on the cell membrane, so that the cell will not burst. Okay. So if you will place an animal cell in hypotonic solution and a plant cell in hypotonic solution, there will be more chances of bursting of animal cell as compared to plant cell, because of the presence of cell wall in plant cell. So it will prevent bursting of the cell wall, bursting of the cell when it is placed in hypotonic solution, due to the pressure exerted by the cell wall on the cell membrane. Is it clear? Means if this is a plant cell and this is a cell membrane inside, so this is a cell wall and this is a cell membrane. So when the cell will placed in the hypotonic solution, this cell membrane will start swelling and will exerting pressure over the cell wall. But the equal pressure will be exerted by the cell wall over the cell membrane, which will prevent the cell from bursting. Okay. So this was the condition when the plant cell will place in hypotonic solution. Now what will happen when the plant cell will placed in hypertonic solution? So there is a term related to that. Let us first discuss the activity related with this, then you will be able to understand the condition of the plant cell placed in the hypertonic solution. Okay, so as we have discussed, what will be the role of cell wall when a cell is placed in a hypotonic solution? But if you will see, when the cell is placed in hypertonic solution, what will be the condition? So when the cell is placed, sorry, not the cell but the plant cell, we are basically talking about the plant cell because cell wall is present in plant cell. So when plant cell is placed, or the fungal cell, bacterial cell, as we have discussed, when it is placed in a hypertonic solution, normally what happens? A plant cell, normally when the cell is placed in hypertonic solution, the water will start moving out of the cell because of exosmosis. Similarly, when the plant cell will be placed in the hypertonic solution, it will be undergoing exosmosis. But you know that if we have shown here a normal plant cell where there is a cell wall and the cell membrane or plasma membrane at the inner to the cell wall, and all other are the components of the plant cell. In this condition, the cell is considered to be a turgid cell. Turgid means a stretched or a rigid cell. As we know that cell wall provides rigidity or strength or stretchness to the cell. So a stretched or rigid cell will be called as a turgid cell. When this is placed in hypertonic solution, then the water which is present inside the cell will undergo exosmosis. Due to this, the loss of water will take place from the cell, and due to this loss, as you know that cell wall is a non-living component of the cell. It will remain as such, but the inner part of the cell, that is the cell membrane along with its component, will start shrinking. Due to this shrinkage, the cell wall remain intact, but the cell membrane will start shrinking from the corners. First from the corners, then it will again and again start shrinking. Later on, as more and more water will comes out from the cell membrane undergo more and more shrinking, but the cell wall remain intact. So this condition or this process is called plasmolysis. And this cell, plant cell with the shrinked cell membrane but intact cell wall, is called as flaccid cell. So this cell is called flaccid cell. So is it clear? When the plasmolysis, this process is called plasmolysis, means the shrinkage of the cell membrane of a plant cell when it is placed in hypertonic solution is called plasmolysis. The cell before the shrinkage was called turgid cell, and the cell after shrinkage will be called as a flaccid cell. So let's see an activity given in your book to make it more clear.
Plasmolysis is the process of shrinkage or contraction of the protoplasm of a plant cell as a result of loss of water from the cell through osmosis. We can induce plasmolysis in the laboratory by immersing living cells in a strong saline or sugar solution to reduce water in the cell. Normally, people use Royo or Trades Cantia plant epidermal cells for this experiment, as their colored cell sap is clearly visible. Materials required: Royo leaf, forceps, glass slides, cover slips, compound microscope, needle, droppers, sodium chloride 0.1% solution and sodium chloride 5% solution. Procedure: take 2 glass slides and place them on the table. Take a Royo leaf from the Petri dish. Fold the leaf and tear it along the lower side of the leaf. Using a forceps, pull out 2 small segments of thin transparent layer from the lower epidermis of the Royo leaf. Place the epidermal peels on both glass slides. Using a dropper, take some sodium chloride 0.1% solution from the beaker. Put 1 to 2 drops of solution on one slide. Using another dropper, take sodium chloride 5% solution from the beaker. Put 1 to 2 drops of solution on the next slide. Place a cover slip over the peel of both slides using a needle. Place the slides one by one under the compound microscope. Observe them under the microscope. Observation: after half an hour, we can observe that cells in sodium chloride 0.1% solution appear turgid, while cells in the sodium chloride 5% solution show plasmolysis. Conclusion: when plant cells are immersed in sodium chloride 5% solution or concentrated salt solution, water moves through the cell membrane into the surrounding medium because the water concentration inside the cell is greater than that which is outside the cell. Ultimately, the protoplasm causes shrinkage and assumes a spherical shape. This is called plasmolysis. When a plant cell is immersed in sodium chloride 0.1% solution or dilute salt solution, the water moves into the cell because of the higher concentration of water outside the cell than inside the cell. The cell then swells and becomes turgid. Precautions: take the epidermal peel from the lower surface of the Royo leaf. Do not let the peel dry out.
Okay, so let us see the next component of the cell, which is a very important component, that is called nucleus. So, do you remember when we have started with the discovery of the cell and we have discussed about the Robert Hooke experiment that he has done to see the cells under the microscope? So this was the structure that was visible to him, and these were the cells, and there were some small dark dots present in each cell. So these darkly stained structures were actually nucleus. So nucleus was actually not discovered by Robert Hooke. He just saw the cells, but he did not notice the nucleus in them. But it was discovered by Robert Brown. So nucleus was discovered by Robert Brown. It is a darkly stained structure present in the cell. When the cell is seen under the microscope, when we have prepared one onion peel slide also, we have used the stain safranin for making the slide, because to provide the stain to the cell so that each and every part of the cell is visible. So when we have prepared that slide, the most darkly stained part that was visible in the cell was actually nucleus. So nucleus is not present properly in all the cells. We will discuss in detail the structure of nucleus and each and every part of the nucleus and what is the function of each and every part. But before that, this is the true structure of a nucleus. So a true nucleus we will study, but you should be clear that a true nucleus is not present in all the cells. Though the cell is considered to be living only when the genetic material present inside the nucleus is present in the cell. But in some cells, this genetic material is not completely present in the nucleus. It is without nuclear membrane, and in that cells are called prokaryotic cells, which are without true nucleus. Karyon word is used for nucleus, and pro means before nucleus, means that are not containing true nucleus, but they have the genetic material which is freely present in the cell. And eukaryotic are the cells which are actually the true cells or having the true nucleus in them. So on the basis of the presence or absence of true nuclei, we have prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. First we will discuss the structure of nucleus in detail. Then we will discuss the two types of cell, because you will be able to understand the difference, why they are called prokaryotic and why they are called eukaryotic. So let's see the overall structure of nucleus, then we will take up the one by one each and every part with their function. So this is the first, let me show you. In case of plant and animal cell, the nucleus is present. In plant cells, the position of nucleus is not in the center. Generally, as you can see here also, it is present at one side of the cell. Generally, the nucleus is present in the center of the cell, but in plant cell, it is not present in the center, because of the presence of this big vacuole in the plant cell. When we will study in detail the structure of plant and animal cell, then you will find that nucleus is not in the center, but it is present as slightly on one side of the cell. This is the position of nucleus in plant cell. Whereas in animal cell, there is no such big vacuole present like that of plant cell. There are small vacuoles present which are scattered in the full cell. That is why the nucleus will be present in the center in an animal cell. So this is the position of nucleus in both plant and animal cell. So let's see the structure now. I have shown this nucleus, the microscopic structure of the nucleus. So here you can see nucleus is covered with a double membrane structure. Means like the cell is covered with plasma membrane, which is also a double membrane. Similarly, the nucleus is covered with two membranes which are called nuclear membrane. Means nuclear membrane is double membrane structure. So here you can see this membrane and the inner one, outer and inner one. So this is the nuclear membrane. It is not as a normal membrane which is like cell membrane, but the composition is same. Like did you remember that plasma membrane is made up of phospholipids and proteins? Similarly, the nuclear membrane is also made up of same material, but it is a double membrane structure. Now if you will see, it is not completely covering the nucleus. You can see here there are small gaps present in between. These are called nuclear pores. So these are called nuclear pores, and these gaps will allow some specific molecules or the molecules which are synthesized inside the nucleus to move out of the cell, or the material which is required inside the nucleus can move in through these nuclear pores. So is it clear? It is covered with a double membrane, nuclear membrane, which is having the same composition that of the plasma membrane, but it is not continuously present. It has some gaps in between, which are called nuclear pore for entry and exit of the material required by the cell, by the nucleus and outside the nucleus. Okay. And one more important thing you can see here, the nuclear membrane is not smooth. You can see the small dots I have shown here. These dots are actually what? Ribosomes. These are called ribosomes. So now ribosome is also one of an important component of the cell. And what are these? What are their function? We will discuss later. But you should be clear that the ribosomes are attached over the surface of the nuclear membrane, which makes its appearance rough. So it is not smooth. It is covered with the attached with the ribosomes, which makes its structure rough. And somewhere I have shown you these structures. These are actually one more cell organelle, which is called endoplasmic reticulum. It is rough endoplasmic reticulum, which is in direct continuation with the nuclear membrane. And why is that so? When we will study the detailed structure of rough endoplasmic reticulum, then you will be able to understand. So this rough endoplasmic reticulum is indirectly linked with the nuclear membrane. Now inside the nuclear membrane, like a cell has enclosed a cytoplasm, which is a fluid substance, liquid substance. Similarly, the nucleus enclosed in it a fluid substance, which is called nucleoplasm. तो जो सेल के अंदर होता है उसको साइटोप्लाज्म बोलते हैं, और जो न्यूक्लियस के अंदर होता है उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? न्यूक्लियोप्लाज्म. And inside this there is a darkly stained structure which is called nucleolus. This is called nucleolus. It has many other molecules, proteins, which makes it a darkly stained structure. Now these thread-like structures, can you see? There are so many thread-like structures. This is actually a chromatin. Now what is a chromatin? You have, I hope you all know that, you have heard about the term chromosomes, that chromosomes are the genetic material which is present inside the nucleus. These chromosomes have actually obtained from the chromatin. How does it occur? When we will take up the each and every part of the nucleus in detail, then you will be able to more clear how the chromosomes are actually formed from this chromatin. Because actually the chromosomes are present in this thread-like manner, not in the form that we imagine them or that we see in the pictures, but they are present in this thread-like structure because this nucleus we are seeing is in a cell, and when we see a cell under microscope, you will see these chromosomes in the form of chromatin. Only chromosomes are visible when a cell divides. Chromosomes, the actual structure of chromosome will be visible when a cell divides, but this slide we have prepared from just a non-dividing cell, and one activity is also there related with this preparation of the slide for the nucleus. I'll share with you the activity, then you will be able to more clear. And next we will take up the each and every part of the nucleus with their function.
Sustained temporary mount of human cheek cells. Materials required: slide, cover slip, toothpick, glycerine, methylene blue solution, blotting paper, compound microscope, dropper, water. Procedure: take a clean slide and in the middle of it pour a drop of water with the help of a dropper. Take a clean toothpick and use it to scrap the inner wall of your cheek gently so as to scrap the epithelial tissue. Mix the scrap of the toothpick in the drop of water placed on the slide. Pour a drop of methylene blue solution on the mixture on the slide and mix it thoroughly. This will stay after 2 to 3 minutes. Remove the excess of water and methylene blue solution by using the corner of a blotting paper. Do it carefully, otherwise the material will also be removed. Pour a drop of glycerine on the contents of slide and spread it. Take a dry and clean cover slip and place it on the slide. remove the extra material surrounding the slide with a blotting paper. Examine the slide under a compound microscope. Observation. Large number of flat cells with irregular boundaries are seen. Each cell has a thin cell membrane. A distinct, deeply stained nucleus is seen in each cell. Space between the plasma membrane and the nucleus is filled with granular material called cytoplasm.